after Poppy's accident, he was in the hospital. He was at Freighter in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is a very well-known hospital in the area, and they took amazing care of him. He finally came home, I believe, like 6 months later. He had healed physically, and Graham took on the job of being his caregiver. He couldn't quite remember things. He was very melancholy and sad a lot, and I think it's because of not being able to remember things, but also having some physical limitations. His center of balance was off. He had some mobility issues, and you could see some of Graham's vitality in her life kind of start to shrink a little bit. They were the kind of couple that loved to fight, but they loved each other so fiercely. And some of that spark in her just started to die. And Poppy had fallen down the stairs in their garage. It was just, 3 small steps, but he had tripped and stumbled and passed away after that, just due to trauma to the brain after, the motorcycle accident. And after Poppy died, she was a bit less of a person. She was still there for all of us. She was still a fighter in every way, but she was a little less complete.
Wow. So how did she get along with life after, Poppy was no longer with us?
She continued doing the things that she liked to do. She was golfing with the ladies in town. She was still shooting on a billiards league a few nights a week. She was helping at the senior center. She'd go and help the school that my brother and I went to for our primary school. She'd go and help my brother's teacher from 2nd grade to do things in their classroom. She had an older woman that was a ward of the state. She took care of her. So she kept herself busy. I think I get that from her.
Right. And then I believe she was hit with an illness.
Yeah. So 3 years later, she was coughing up blood in the middle of the summer. And she was like, this is very strange. This is not normal. And she went to the doctor and they were like, oh, sometimes people just cough up blood. And my very independent, strong-willed grandma was like, no, I don't just cough up blood. There's something wrong. And they tried to be like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It'll go away. And she pushed and pushed, which she could do very well, until they gave her a scan and they found 2 spots of cancer on her lung. So she had 2 partial lobe removals in the fall of 2003.
So just to be clear, so she was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Correct.
And then how did that change her life? Did she recover completely, or did it cause any issues? Because you mentioned they took some of the lung tissue out.
Yeah, so that first surgery, she was still fighting. She, had to do some lung capacity type exercises, make sure she could breathe. They told her she shouldn't wear a seatbelt in her car anymore because she's so small. And with the surgery that she had, it took her a little while, but she was back golfing. She was, still gardening, doing everything she wanted to do. But then she got cancer again. So Graham ended up battling cancer 7 times over the next 12 years.
Was it the same cancer, or 7 is a lot?
7 is a lot. So the first time she had 2 small spots of cancer on 2 different lobes in her lung. The next time it came back, she had 3 spots of cancer in different parts of her lungs, and they were all 3 different types of cancer, including one that's known to metastasize and spread very rapidly through her body. After, the lung cancer came again, she fought it again. She had chemo, she did radiation. She used this as a time to get some wigs in very fun colors and styles that, nobody really would have thought. It was around this time that I realized she had dentures. Uh, all of the years that I was a child, I had never seen her without her teeth in. And one morning I caught her not feeling so well, and she hadn't gotten a chance to put her teeth in. And that was a bit of a shock that I don't think I was prepared for. That was almost worse than seeing her without any hair. um, so she had that. Then she had a cancerous tumor on her thyroid. She had another group of cells in a lung. So she kept doing chemo and radiation. But then the last time she had gotten a tumor that was growing very, very close to her carotid artery. And the doctors were telling her that they were worried she might not make it through the surgery. So they did a couple, she had some what looked like straws going in and out of her body. They were doing some radiation pellets for over the course of 5 days to hopefully shrink it. And when they went back to do some scans, they found another growth. And at that point, they told her that the prognosis wasn't really excellent.
So what was the response, and what was the decision taken in terms of the treatment plan from them? And before you answer that, one thing, she had a lot of cancers. Did they ever figure out, because that's not normal? What were the doctors telling you why she had so many cancers?
They really didn't have a clear indication. My mom and I have talked about this several times. We think probably growing up and working at a farm, there were probably things that she inhaled and was exposed to that probably weren't the safest, in the early 40s and 50s. She also worked in a restaurant and a bar, so she had quite a bit of secondhand smoke she was exposed to. Um, so I'm sure it was a combination of those things, along with, whatever environmental factors are at play in our lives.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, you could tell she was starting to get tired. She'd been fighting so hard for the last 11 years to just keep pushing, keep setting that example, to keep being there for all of us, because she was always kind of the rock in the family. And at this point, she was just like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and whatever happens, happens. And because she was such a proud woman, she wasn't going to go to assisted living. She wasn't going to have a home health aide. She wasn't going to let a visiting nurse come in. So my mom, my stepdad, and I would take turns going and checking in on her, making sure she had everything she needed, making sure, we were getting groceries for her, doing whatever we could, until she got to the point where she was starting to lose so much weight, and she was already a very petite woman. And you start to see her shrink down into this shadow of the woman that she once was, and it started to become heartbreaking. Did you like this story? If so, please subscribe to this channel and like and share the video. Want more? Buy the book, Stories from the Edge of Life, available now on Amazon for more stories like this. All proceeds support Palliative Care Network, a nonprofit dedicated to alleviating suffering and improving the quality of life for patients facing end-of-life issues. Consider extending your contribution by donating through the link below. Thank you for your support.